Hey guys, just want to get on here, just kind of listening to the never-ending kind of narratives that are kind of going on out there, and it's really more about what's happening across our cities, Seattle specifically, and you starting to see signs of similar activity or spirals going with Atlanta. All the pundits, a lot of the people out there talking about this stuff are kind of talking about the counter narrative to a police killing a person. So without getting kind of hung up on what happened on an incident by incident level, I mean, I look at it, colorblind. I know that some of you won't believe that, but I look at it colorblind, thinking, the actions were completely justified based on what was going on. I mean, you have to have law and order, right? But the bigger question is why. And I think a lot of people are just kind of losing sight or not articulating what the big why. Why is this? Because common sense would tell you law and order is justified. We need law and order. We just need it, right? I mean, the idea of completely getting rid of the police makes no sense. I don't care who you talk to. Anybody with any sound reasoning would argue that getting rid of police, getting rid of law enforcement makes zero sense. All right, and if you can't get rid of them, maybe demoralize them to a point where they walk away. And you see police. I think it's in Miami, basically quitting. You see the police chief in Atlanta effectively resigning, and of course that demoralization will trickle down into the law enforcement. It's like, why put my life on the line for a population or a populace that doesn't want me? Why do it for the little monies these guys make? They don't really make near enough for what they do day to day to protect our lives. Why are they doing that? And that kind of gets back to the bigger narrative that's going on that no one really seems to want to spend a lot of time on, and that is, even mainstream media has to acknowledge at some point that we are in a war. And sometimes in a war is all about change, a major change, systemic change across something, or a big difference of opinions, and you want to split and go in a different direction. And if you can't do it in traditional means, sometimes blow up the system, create chaos, and out of chaos comes what you want. But you have to win the war first. So in my mind, what's going on is it's creating chaos to serve multiple purposes. One of which is, putting the blame at the feet of, our president, so he can't get reelected. Which, okay, good luck with that. I think if anything, you're driving people to more support the Second Amendment. I've got friends that don't own weapons, don't own guns, and now they're looking to get them. And I know that's happening across the country. So that's number one. Second Amendment is probably stronger support than it's ever had. The lines are drawn. The lines have been drawn, and they're creating chaos. They're basically breaking the system down, because the system of law enforcement, the system of law and order, predominantly stands up on faith, meaning the masses generally agree to the laws that are on the books. The masses generally agree to follow those laws so long as they're equally supported and enforced. And once that whole belief system is broken down, which what they're doing right now is definitely having an effect. I mean, I don't know how effective it's going to be, but it's having an effect. Once you break that down, chaos unfolds, and that's what they're looking for. So thankfully, I don't live in the middle of one of these metro areas. I'm basically away from the noise, so I'm just kind of looking at it from I guess a untainted perspective and just saying why. I always ask the question why, and I try to stay out of the weeds, because sometimes that's what they want you to do, is just focus on the tree and not the forest. So out of chaos is their hope of basically creating this new world order and getting the elites, the elite elites puppets back in place, like they did with Obama and Bush and all the rest of them. Getting their puppets back in place so they can continue to pull the strings like they've always done, and completely close the book on the new world order and what they're trying to do. And there's a lot of people out there, I don't think they know what they don't know what they don't know, and they're blind. They're completely blind to a lot of this. So I don't know. But so what's happening with the chaos in these cities like Seattle? I mean, if you think about it, it makes zero sense. So, I mean, these people are taking over city blocks. It's like Escape from Manhattan, if you remember the Kurt Russell movies back in the 80s. Escape from Manhattan, and I think there was another one after that, very similar, chaotic environment. It's just chaos. Warlords rule, and it's not a life. It's not a life of peace and harmony. And they're putting boards up around Seattle outside their zone, if you will, saying they need supplies like toilet paper and typical essentials. So I mean, obviously they didn't think it through, and of course they didn't think it through because the people that told them to do it are the ones that thought it through, and these people are expendable. So I don't know. I mean, once you wake up to the realities of what the hell's going on. It's so refreshing. You don't live in fear because you see what they're doing, and I continue to be optimistic around where it's going to go. I mean, this is going to simply bolster, I think, the voter base for the November election. I think voter suppression, I think voter corruption is being worked on behind the scenes, and the tainted votes that typically happen from election to election, I think that's going to be mitigated extremely, if not altogether. None of these people are idiots on both sides. I think the We the People leadership knows what they're doing, and I'm here to support them in any way they call for. And I think the other side they're not idiots either. And the reason why this is going on is because the puppet masters pulling the strings and telling these children in Seattle to do what they're doing, it's to an end. They're expendable. You're expendable. If you don't believe anything I'm saying, you are expendable. And hopefully you're paying attention and you're picking the right side. But in any event, it's all about creating chaos. It's all about resetting the system for the new world order, or out of that chaos will come what we the people think needs to happen, which is constitutionally driven. So, just my 2 cents. As usual, many of you probably won't agree with it, but hey, I think a fresh perspective sometimes is needed. If you have any comments or thoughts around this, I'd love to hear your feedback.